guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now, I dare I call this a podcast because I don't want to, but happy Vlogmas, first of all. We're coming to the end of it, and I thought this might be a cool idea that I could take out of Vlogmas and kind of carry on if anyone's interested. If not, that is totally cool. I'm good either way. But I was inspired by this, by the Tingles and Triggers podcast that Trisha Paytas did, used to do, which, by the way, one of the best podcasts in the world, Tingles and Triggers. Trisha, please bring that back. It was amazing. I still watch it every single, couple days. It's awesome. It's some of my favorite ASMR to date. But I feel like at this point, there are a lot of you that know a bit about my life, but I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for this first attempt at this. Could be first and only, but at least first. And one thing I wanted to talk about was I'm gonna call it the reinvention of myself, okay? Now, that might seem really dramatic for what I'm gonna talk about, but what I call my rock bottom, I'm gonna kind of tell a rough telling of that, and then how I got to here, which, let me tell you something, I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, but once I tell you where my rock bottom was, I feel like I've done a pretty good job turning it around. So, I feel like this is so dramatic. Anyways, so I used to go to school. Okay, let me flash you back to 2015. 2015, for those of you that are unaware, I was a junior in high school for a good bit of 2019, whatever, it doesn't matter. 2015, I was a junior in high school. And I went to a private high school, okay? And I'm not gonna obviously tell you what that is, and I'm not gonna give you any more information, but I went to a small private high school. So things were very different. My experience was very different, and I had things that kind of sent me a way that maybe shouldn't have, right? So I'm gonna give you one more piece of information to the start of this, and then we'll be done. I went to Catholic school, a private Catholic school, my entire school career up until college. Okay. Now, when I start this story, you're gonna be like, oh, Catholic school kid, of course, makes sense. No. I was a straight and narrow kid up until I graduated from high school. Okay, so that's not where the story's going, but, well, I wouldn't say straight and narrow, but I did drink every once in a while and stuff, underage, but I think everybody did. But in terms of smoking and all that other stuff, I didn't do any of that. That wasn't my thing. I vaped every once in a while, but that wasn't my thing. I was just chilling. That was just who I was. So my senior year rolls around end of 2015, start of 2016. I graduate in May of 2016, June, whatever. And I go on to college the August of that year. Now listen, this is what I like to call the beginning of the downfall, okay? I went to UNC Charlotte, which is the University in North Carolina at Charlotte, if you are unaware. And I had never really been away from home for a prolonged period of time. I had never really, my parents weren't super, super strict. Once I got my junior year of high school, I just kind of did what I wanted to, right? But once I was living on my own, doing my own laundry, living in dorms with other people and all that kind of stuff, I started out really well. I started out guns a-blazing. I was doing well in school. I was my roommate was her boyfriend was in the honors college, and so I hung out with them, and I was pretty straight and narrow. And I was kind of thinking that was how my college career was gonna be we went to a party, we did a this, a that, but we did a lot of school functions and stuff too, so it wasn't we were just partying or whatever. But that quickly turned around. So the floor that I lived in a co-ed dorm, but it was even floors where girls shared a common room that had a TV and some couches. And ironically, when I started, the male RA was dating a female at the campus, and she was always around. And our female RA was like so sweet, and so of course they like teamed up and like did events together and shit like that, right? So I got in with some friends, and we were all pretty close. By the time the year was over, the 2 semesters, my freshman year was over, there were quite literally like none of us left on the 4th floor because everybody had moved out because we lived in a dump, basically. We lived in like the shittiest dorm on campus. I love it. I loved it. It's torn down now, but I loved it. I think it was so fun, and I wound up having a room by myself because my roommate moved out like halfway into the 1st semester, and I was totally fine with that. I had both beds. We were like chillin', and by the time everything was said and done, most of us only had single rooms, but there were 2 beds in it, so it was fun. Now we started going to parties, and I'm talking like frat parties and like crazy parties, and then my family lives only like a little, like less than like 30 minutes away from the campus, and I started dating a guy in their town, and so we were going there a lot and partying. We were just partying all the time. Don't do this. I'm not endorsing this. It was fun at the time, but I literally ruined my life. So, and I got around the worst crowd humanly possible. I was in a county that is known for its overdoses in the state of North Carolina, if not the country, I don't know. And I lost friends. Like, I literally lost a friend to an overdose, and I also wound up losing another friend to an overdose. So it's serious stuff. And I wasn't too crazy in what I was doing, but I was not doing school like I should have been doing. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I only failed 1 class, okay, but I had C's and B's in like most of my stuff. Now, that was not me as a student. I was a mostly straight A student in high school, and I graduated 8th in my class. So like, I was not that kind of student. I never had a C until I went to college. So it was a very humbling experience for me. So flash forward my freshman year, because there was a lot of trauma that happened in that year, but we're not going to get through that. We're going to do that today. We just don't have the time for that. So flash forward my freshman year. Over that summer, I wound up working with at a restaurant that one of my family members owned, and it was like a bar / restaurant, and that's where I met my ex-boyfriend. And we got into craziness, and we wound up dating for like 3 years, almost 3 years, something like that. And wait, what year would that have been? Hold on. -4. What do you need? -2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right year. I was trying to make sure. That summer, I didn't even live in Greensboro. I didn't live in Charlotte. I lived outside of Charlotte, in the city or the town that my ex was from, and my family's from, or some of my family's from, and got into arguably the worst crowd you could be in, to be honest. Now, let me tell you something. Just because it's the worst crowd doesn't mean they were bad people. They were good people, and I loved them. I still have a love for them. I just made the realization that I cannot be around them ever. One, because I've now turned my entire life around, and also because it was just really toxic for me. Like, I was having cigarettes put out on me, and like just crazy stuff that you just like shouldn't deal with as a person. Like, it's just not worth it. So we go through all of that. Then my sophomore year, I wound up failing my first class, and I got a C or 2 or whatever. Basically, my GPA plummeted, and my parents said, you have 1 semester of my junior year to turn your shit around, and then we're pulling fuming. I was like, fuck you and fuck everything. Like, I'm now an hour plus away from my, at the time, boyfriend. All of my friends, I had no friends at this new school, like whatever, right? So I was going to UNCG, which is University of North Carolina at Greensboro. So I could go to UNCG, and I realized that because of me failing, I was never, didn't matter how hard I worked, I would never graduate on time. Foreshadowing, so I thought, right? So as it was, I would have graduated a semester behind at least everybody else. And when I was turning my life around, I was like, that is an unacceptable time frame for me. So I went home in January. I moved out in January. When I moved out and came home in January, I was with my ex for about 3 more months, long distance, like truly long distance. Well, not truly long distance, but like longer distance. And I was going through some shit with him where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And so I broke up with him around June. Now, let me preface a couple things, alright? First of all, originally we still hung out. I went to his birthday, like his 21st birthday, like the whole 9, right? But that didn't last very long. Don't hang out with your exes. First of all, just don't do it. It's not worth it. But when I turned myself around that summer, or that I was pulled in January, I moved home and I went to UNCG in person for a semester. Made some great friends. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, having a great time, like whatever. Through UNCG, I wound up getting a job, or a paid internship with I guess I can tell you the name of the company, with Volvo trucks. Was it a summer internship? I think it was a summer internship. Now, when I went to UNCG, there was one semester that I took a full-time course load, which was just like, I think it was is it 15 hours? What is it? I think it's 15 hours, I don't know, something like that. 15, 16, something like that, I don't know. It was a full course load. I took like, I don't know, 3-4 classes, whatever that was, right? Then, after that, I did the math, and I was like, it doesn't matter if I do summer school, it doesn't matter if whatever I do, I'm gonna graduate later than everybody else, and that's gonna piss me off. So what did I do, being competitive and obnoxious? I said, absolutely the fuck not. That's not me. That's not what I'm gonna do. And you can bet your bottom freaking dollar that I'm gonna graduate when everybody else graduates. Now, come to find out, 90% of the people I went to school with have dropped out of school, which is fine. Go your journey. They dropped out of college, or they graduated significantly later, or they took multiple years of a gap year and then like still are going to school now, or like whatever, right? Which is, everybody needs to walk their own path. But I thought in my mind that everybody was on the same track I was on, and they were going to graduate that May, and I was going to be fuming. It was May of 2020, and I was like, I'm going to miss my graduation. Everybody else is going to graduate, and I'm not, and I'm going to be upset, and I'm going to be pissed off and sad and blah, 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 whatever. Now, when I started at UNCG, when I tell you the tides turned, I was an all-A student. Like, I put my head back in the game that time, and I wound up getting 2 honor society invitations for my second semester, and I qualified for a study abroad program, which unfortunately I didn't get to take because of my internship. And then I had my internship. My internship started in May, and it was supposed to be May to August. They actually extended my internship from August to December, so I worked there for like 6 months. Decent pay, like I had a really good time. Actually, I got to travel with the company and all kinds of stuff, but with that came the introduction to me taking online classes. So I started taking online classes, and that was my niche. Online classes was the way to go for me. I was still taking some in-person classes, but I started taking online classes. Then I was taking summer classes. I was taking them at the community college. I was trying to catch up any way I could catch up. Now, here's where I start to ball the fuck out, right? So my summer, I took like 2 classes or whatever, like nothing special, right? Like whatever, who cares? That fall, I was working a 40-hour internship. I had gotten, no, not then yet. Oh, over the summer, I started working for Chick-fil-A. So I worked at Chick-fil-A pretty much full time, and then I got the internship. So and then I started doing 18 credit hour semesters, and the reason I did that was so I could graduate on time. So I started doing 18 credit hour semesters. I was working a full-time internship, and then on the weekends, like Friday and Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was working at Chick-fil-A. Night shift to closing, right? So I was working crazy hours. Now, that was the start of my insane grind fest, and that I have yet to stop. So, we wound up breaking up, me and this ex. A couple months later passed. I wound up getting with this other guy, the guy that I'm dating now. I fully have turned my life around. Fully. I graduate with my degree. I have a good corporate job, which I know some people disagree with the same thing. I like my job. And I was getting my master's, got my master's now, and I think we're done with school, which is beautiful, and I'm thrilled to say that. But I tell this story to say that anyone can turn their life around. It doesn't matter where you are. My rock bottom story, the actual story of me hitting rock bottom, is genuinely too disturbing to tell on the internet. But maybe one day I will change some names and age restrict that video, but I think that is the greatest overarching point of this video, is you can change your life at any time. You can make a full 180 pivot at any moment you want to and get back on whatever path you're trying to get on. It doesn't matter your age or where you are or financial status, anything. You can literally turn it around. I was in the negative, overdrafting my accounts, and now for my age, I think I make a decent amount. In this economy, it's not as good as it could be, but it's fine. I feel very proud of where I'm at, and I feel like anyone could do what I did, and I don't feel like I'm special at all. I just think it's for sure something that's worth talking about. And I feel like when you hear people talk about like rock bottoms, you don't hear people normally talk about like how they got back or like what they did. And I think sometimes it just takes removing yourself from the situation and like kind of like losing everything and everyone to realize, like, I had a terrible relationship with my parents. I had a terrible relationship with people, and like I was just like the worst version of myself. I was like just genuinely like in a really bad place. And like I know there are still people out there. I can think of one person in particular who, even though she also did me wrong, I did her wrong too. And I've tried to acknowledge that, and like even actually reached out, and the friendship's too far gone, and I don't, it's fine. But we were both shitty, and it's just because I was shitty or just because she was shitty doesn't make me being shitty okay. And I think it's important to realize that you can make mistakes and own up to them, and growth is a huge deal, and growth is a huge part of life. And I think, I think people don't always talk about how hard it is to turn your life around, but also how doable it can be if you genuinely commit to it. And also, people don't talk enough about, like, just because you were successful in high school doesn't mean, like, academically doesn't mean your college career is like a breeze, or like just because you were a nerd in high school doesn't mean you're gonna be anything. Like, nothing, high school means nothing. Like, I know there are not a whole lot of you that are watching this that are in high school, which is fine, but high school means nothing. The bullies mean nothing. The popular kids mean nothing. Like, none of that crap matters to anybody in the real world. None of that shit matters. As soon as you graduate, it's over. It doesn't matter. These people that are peaking in high school, they're gonna be irrelevant. situations and stuff. So when they say you are the company you keep, they are not lying. You are the company you keep. And I always think it's funny, like, I don't want to say this, I don't know, well, whatever. I think some people, to change, you have to want to change, right? Like, you can't change before you want to change, and that applies for everything. That's just an overarching logical point, right? Like, you can't change if you don't want to change, or you're not going to change if you don't want to change. And I think it's worth noting that I know there are people out there that think I'm the exact same person I was when I was in high school, college, any of that shit. I'm not. None of us are. I would hope you're not as well. You know, I would hope you online here watching this, or you as in a person I'm in my head referring to, I would hope you're not the same person. I think if you are the same person all those years later, that's kind of an issue. You should forever be growing and changing. But I think it's important to like, I don't know, I have a hard time with this because I'm a person of second chances. I'm always willing to give people second chances, but I understand why some people are not. I am, but I understand why some people are not. I think when it's a second chance, like a full second chance, like I think this person has stepped away, they have claimed growth, and they have come back. That is like a full second chance, right? They come back into your frame of life. I think when that happens, if genuinely you, how do I phrase this? I think if genuinely you give them a chance, you should give them a chance. I think when they come back into the frame, you get one opportunity, and one opportunity alone. You don't get, I'm a person where, like, I will give endless chances in the beginning, but if you walk out of my life and then come back, you've got one chance, and that's it. And it's proving yourself on that one chance that you are different, you have changed, things are going to be different, that I hold value in. If you're going to be the same person, doing the same shit, living the same life, then you can genuinely go somewhere else. Like, I'm not, and I will tell you this with my chest, I will allow you to do me wrong one time when you come back. One time. And I have been done wrong one time. Once that's done, though, I'm done. Don't come back. Don't try and come back. I don't want to hear I've changed. I don't want to hear I'm different. And this is not just relationships, it's friendships, it's situationships, it's a family, this is everybody. This is an overarching rule that applies to the world. I don't care. I will give you virtually endless chances. The first time when I truly write you off, like I'm talking like truly like, nope, I'm done, or you walk away, whichever happens first. When you decide to come back, or I decide to reach out to you, genuinely you've got one shot, that's it. I'm not gonna sit here and go through the same shit I did all these years later. That's just not gonna happen. Some people are like, well, that's just rude. I don't care. I don't care. You should forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. I'm gonna forgive you, but I'm not gonna forget it. I'm gonna turn the other cheek. But if you go to smack this cheek, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you before you can connect. I don't care. Like, I know, oh, that's not very blah 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 of you, and that's not humanitarian. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna turn the other cheek, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to be nice. And if you come for me again, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you. I don't care. Go to smack the other cheek, and I'm gonna whoop your ass. I don't care. I don't care. And I think that's kind of a new phase in life for me, is this kind of like, I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, I care about the people I care about. Outside of that bubble, outside that bubble's a pretty cold world, and I don't really care. I'm not saying there are not people that could come back into my world. That's a dramatic statement that I will never make. But I will tell you this. Generally speaking, I don't care. I else you want to see. Thank you guys so much for all the support on Vlogmas and this channel. I love you guys to pieces.